take a look. So this is a game we play as black, and let me see if I can swap the board. I don't know. Well, let's look at from white's perspective. So we play. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. We actually play as white. So opponent um, has already like 1250. Alex, let's see. So Ruy Lopez and knight c3. So actually, I think we can castle. And if the knight goes to e4, take our pawn, we can attack the knight. Since black is slow in king castling. So in this case, the knight could possibly go to c5, and we can take the pawn. So we can take the knight and check the king. Knight go e5, we can keep pushing pawn to d4 and d5. So we are quicker in piece development. So if black, for example, play d5, we can still take the pawn, and there is a pin. Or we can play d3. Yeah, we can always take the pawn back and also attack the black king. So we can castle, and black should not like take our pawn immediately, and then we can play rook e1 to protect the pawn. And the reason I don't recommend playing knight c3 is so usually we have the pawn from c2 to c3, and then we can support the pawn to d4. So if we play knight c3, the c pawn is blocked. So that's why I'm not recommending knight c3. But it's not a big mistake. I also saw some good players choose knight to c3. And probably we can push the pawn to d4 without the c pawn. Or maybe you can play d3 and castle and f4 to attack on the king side. So that's usually how I attack. Knight d4, that's a very interesting move. We take the pawn. So are we... I'm thinking... Yeah, if queen goes to e7, probably we will lose the pawn. So if we take the knight and our knight is being attacked, then we'll lose the e4. Maybe we can push the pawn e5. We take our knight, we take the knight. Take pawn, we can take with our b2 pawn, and that takes. So there is a very exposed g5. So the black cannot really kingside to g8, castle to the g8, and we can castle. So yeah, that is also something we can try. Or maybe if we can just move the bishop back to c4. That could also be a choice to attack on the this diagonal. So we take e5, queen to e7, and knight go back, take, queen to e4, pin. Now we have the end game. So the position is quite balanced, and then we're attacking c7. So knight d5. So probably I will move king to d8. But king to d, maybe knight to e5, attacking f7. Okay, maybe knight d5 is only move. And we play c4, that's quite good. And a6. Knight go back to d4. Or maybe to c3 to offer a exchange with the center knight. Yeah, I think knight to c3 is better. Knight f4, attack our king. We move back to f1, g3. Okay, so yeah, so if we play g3, bishop to h3, and our king is quite we will have to go to the g1, otherwise bishop g2, our rook will be trapped. And yeah, so our king at g1 and the rook is stuck at the corner. So yeah, bishop h3 is really annoying. Maybe pawn d3, but we'll lose the pawn. Yeah, that's a tricky position. Well, maybe we can take the pawn first, and then okay, yeah. So this makes me think about maybe take the knight first. Even though we have a passed pawn, we don't need to worry about knight f4. And the good thing is, actually it's very hard for black to attack our two pawns. Maybe b6, and we can play bishop f4. We can attack c7, and these two d pawns are kind of um, yeah, limit the c pawn to push upward. So if it goes to, we can take, and we can move the other rook. So there is a semi-open file. And if bishop to b7, we can play knight e5 to keep attacking the c pawn. Yeah, I think I will take the knight because the knight f4 is really annoying. Okay, knight d3, we take h6. What is the purpose of this move? Maybe preventing knight g5. Yeah, possibly. So we need to think about how to make our rook getting out of the corner. But it's really hard. And our bishop is also stuck. This is really bad. The position is really passive. Knight e2. a3. I think probably we can push the pawn to b4 to speed up our piece development. If knight take, we can at least like develop this bishop. And if bishop takes, I think at least we can move the rook up, and also we can play rook b3 to kick the knight away. So we need to be fast in piece development, and this is quite slow. And the rook, yeah, we have a problem at the back rank. Yeah, so that's a bit bad. So we need to be quick. Yeah, this, I think our opponent played really well, to be fair. And so I think we should like take the knight, because the knight f4 is really annoying. And trying to develop pieces as soon as possible. For example, bishop f4 to attack the c7. That could be something we can try on. Cool, the next game we play as black, and our opponent is really like the e3 is really interesting. It's not common. It blocks the bishop. It looks like a reversed French defense, and we play e4. Maybe there's some other move we can try on. Maybe I would take that. If take, we can play d5. It looks like French exchange variation. If queen takes, we can play knight c6 to kick the queen. So e4, and I think we can play d5. So I think we can like leave some opportunity for the f pawn to push up. The knight f6 is blocking our pawn. So d5, yeah, that's really good. Knight c6, or maybe c6 to support the d5, because I think the c is the same thing. I think the c pawn we potentially could like push it upward to c6 or c5. Okay, open up the center. Well, I think we'll lose the d5 pawn, right? There are 3 attackers on d5. We only have 2 defenders. So I think we can be a bit patient here. So maybe defend this bishop out. If we trade the knight, there are a double pawn, and we can castle first. Because if we really want to open up the center, we need to make sure our king has castled. Otherwise, the king is unsafe. Yeah, I think we realize we'll lose the pawn, so we play bishop to e6, and probably white should play b4. So c6. I think we want to bring the pawn back, but again, I really think we need to, yeah, castle. Queen to a4. If I play white, I would play queen to e5, and then maybe queen to g5 to attack the pawn. if offer a trade b4. There is a problem at the b file, especially b7. I think rook a7 is better than rook a6. Otherwise, okay, and we have a problem at d5. So why do we move the pawn to g? Why do we move the bishop to g4? Actually, we lost d5 pawn, right? So maybe I will play c6. And if the rook goes to b1, I will probably long castle to protect the b7. I have a knight protect b6. Go up, we can move the king up, and then we offer a rook exchange to control the b file. So bishop g4, and white doesn't take the d file. That's weird. Okay, now it takes. Okay, so we want to keep the pawn safe, but it seems we have problem at back rank. So we only focus on this pawn, but I think there is a back rank check and we'll lose a rook. So probably we should play king e7. Even though we lost a pawn, it's better than losing a rook. Yeah, so that's a problem. But I realize we are quite short on time, so maybe that's why we blunder the rook. So if I go to the beginning, I think the critical moment is we don't have to push the pawn without, for example, without having a very solid center and without the king castle. So we can have a lot of patience. So I agree this like double pawns is good to resolve double pawns, but we still need to think, for example, that after the pawn exchange, the safety of the d5 pawn and now the king safety. So our king doesn't have a chance to castle during the whole game, and also at the end we are like back rank. There's a back rank check to win our rook. So if our king has a safer place, for example castle earlier, then we proceed, and that might be good. So if I play black, I will probably move bishop up, castle, and rook to b8 to control the semi-open file, and then maybe I push the pawn to c5. So that's I think that's better than pushing the pawn immediately.